we will beam our searchlight on the latest efforts between Nigeria and the Gambia in enhancing trade opportunities. We also continue our series of activities towards a peaceful 2023 general elections in Africa's biggest economy. And I am Charles Alpha, welcoming you to this week's edition of Africa Weekly. Nigeria is renewing its market export strategy to strengthen existing bilateral and trade relations with the Gambia. This was highlighted at the maiden edition of the 2022 Gambia-Nigeria MSMEs exhibition held in Banjul.
Micro, small and medium enterprise subsectors is seen to contribute approximately 60% of the total gross domestic product and is also responsible for up to 80% of total employment, towards preparing the West African micro, small and medium enterprises capacity to boost intra-regional trade ahead of the AFCFTA, the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, in collaboration with the Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, SMEDEN, and sister agencies in the Gambia, are providing the enabling environment for MSMEs to promote value and market linkages.
While Gambia is a trade hub to other neighboring countries like Senegal and Mali, Nigeria, on the other hand, is a major trade hub to several West African countries.
The essence is to give opportunity to Gambian investors to invest in Nigeria and the Nigerian investors to invest in the Gambia.
As we expect that Nigeria and the Gambia will be able to maximally develop our MSMEs to fully take advantage of not just the huge markets, but also enter other economic territories of America, Europe, and Asia.
This is to a great extent will help us direct our collective actions towards economic growth and employment.
And entrepreneurs are taking advantage of the linkages created at the ongoing trade fair between Nigeria and the Gambians, as governments of African countries look to bridge trade deficit on the continent.
They've been loving what we're doing. They've been trusting our brands, from our fabrics to our food process.
Different fashion designers reach out to me requesting to have their fabrics produced by us.
Nigeria has more than 39 million MSMEs that are contributing to the GDP and are responsible for more than 61 million jobs in Nigeria. Hence, the collaboration between the NEPC and SMEDEN is to boost the subsector's export basket.
Still from Banjul, the First Lady of the Gambia, Fatoumata Barrow, is seeking the support of Nigeria to develop the economy of the Gambia towards creating more international access for the West African nation.
Nigeria can produce what we need in the continent, and we are ready to learn from you.
Desirous to make the Gambian business environment competitive for improved domestic production and export performance, the First Lady of the Gambia, Fatoumata Barrow, is inviting Nigeria to aid Gambia in diversifying its economy and strengthening non-oil export. She emphasized that Nigeria is pivotal to positioning the Gambia for global market inclusion.
Bring in a Chamber of Commerce, Nigerian Chamber of Commerce, if we want this relationship to continue. That's the way forward.
Minister of Tourism and Culture of the Gambia, Hamad Ba, equally advocated the need for Nigeria to support the Gambia tourism sector.
What the Gambia wants is to partner with Nigeria, move us from low-income economy to a middle-income economy. You can do this in 10 years.
The Executive Director of Nigerian Export Promotion Council, Ezra Yakusak, assured the Gambia of Nigerians' readiness to work with the country and also build the capacity of MSMEs for exports.
One of the messages I'm taking back home is the need for Nigerians to invest in Gambia, because I know by the time we start coming here, we are going to facilitate and encourage trade, and we are going to synergize our relationship as brothers and sisters.
Like other African countries, the Gambian government is strategizing to implement enhanced trade policies that will develop trade, generate revenues, and increase investment opportunities.
African leaders are looking to address issues of youth unemployment and under-unemployment as the global economy gets another hit by shocks and underlying fundamentals. The World Bank is driving a conversation around rebuilding a robust economic growth with Africa as the focus.
As saxophonist Cornel Thompson plays the tune to Nigeria's Whiskey Dials You Don't Need No Other Body. That set the tone for the state of the Africa region. Opportunities in a turbulent time session as discussants focus on which sector will be the game changer for the continent.
The artists are the most honest and bravest people among us, who hold up a mirror to our conscience and show us what we're afraid to acknowledge.
If you look at the number of years that the average child goes to school, it's about 8.2 years. But if you look at the years in which they're really learning, given the poor quality of education systems, they're only learning 5 years. You know, that's something to be worried about. And then if you look at enrollment rates, particularly of teenage girls, you know, about a third of them who should be in secondary school are not.
The session took stock of global headwinds affecting the region, focusing on measures that can deliver big wins for food security and intra-regional trade.
And therefore we need to invest on reforms. Even in a period of crisis, reforms are required and are urgent.
We need to continue to build strong, efficient and accountable institutions.
They say never waste a good crisis, because it made us African countries and African companies see an opportunity that really, should we not be much more self-reliant? Could we not see where we are doing very well? Obviously, there are some countries who are fairly self-sufficient in some crops such as wheat, maize. How can we do better?
The event brought together officials of the World Bank, African policymakers, leaders, entrepreneurs, civil society and youth to chart a progress path for Africa amid rising global economic concerns. The implication here is that Africa holds the solution to her problems.
Africa Weekly continues with a tidbit segment. Please do stay with us.
That will advance democracy capable,
where even if you register in Abuja, because it is already in the system, you can vote in Kauran Namuda, you can vote in Chibok, you can vote in Agenebude.
Founder of the Change We Need Nigeria initiative harps on adequate preparation and peaceful atmosphere for the exercise.
So a lot of things depend on INEC in this election. And we are praying and wishing that they will live up to expectation so that Nigeria will have a free and fair election. The next success agent is the security. When people are not secure, they won't go and vote.
They stress the need for government proactive measures to deal with electoral offenders before and after the conduct of the elections.
Welcome to Africa Weekly, Mr. Suleiko.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, to begin with, can you give us your assessments on the nature of activities towards the 2023 elections in Nigeria?
Yeah,
I will give you the general assessment based on two perspectives.
All right.
One, the governance part and the political part.
Okay.
You know, this is the first time we're having a government that has defeated incumbent and is also clamoring to also have a successor. So it's very clear for you to know that most of the successes that is attributed to the current government would definitely be an advantage to the person running under that party. However, the party that lost in 2015 also fielded a candidate. Also, another candidate that lost with the other party in 2019 is also floating another party. Also, the fourth candidate also that ran also under the other party in 2019 is also running. So if you look at it generally, it might be maybe a two-horse race eventually. And I can see that, of course, the security has stabilized, the economy is picking up, the general, you know, the general political atmosphere of the country has not yet heated up yet. A lot of people are busy trying to actually put on the table and do their businesses. And people are in school, they just are trying to go back to school, the academic strike that long, and among other things. So generally, the polity hasn't heated up yet.
INEC is worried about the possible impact of insecurity in some parts of the country on the election. What's your take on this?
INEC shouldn't be worried about the security. INEC should be collaborating with the security agencies to ensure that every suburb of this very country is covered. We have the GSM network service virtually in every part of the country. So it is not, INEC need to collaborate with the security agencies to ensure that they have secured most of the BTS stations around the country that takes all this coverage, to ensure that the communities are protected, the farmlands are protected with the security men. By the time they do that and they understand this terrain very well, especially with the flood right now, a lot of places have lost their homes and all that. So INEC need not to be worried about the security, because when INEC start making complaints about the security of the situation, INEC is already preempting the situation. Security situation is an international crisis everywhere. Only we pray that with the effort that the federal government is doing now, trying to take care of all this banditry, among other things, should keep on yielding the result. And INEC should have the manpower and technical resources to engage the security agencies so that they will make sure that these areas are well manned where they're having challenges and people are well covered. Because you can't start complaining that there is insecurity in some places while other places there is insecurity, and you don't go there to do the real registration that you're supposed to have done to cover or release the cards. So INEC need to collaborate with everyone, the community heads, the traditional institutions, the security agencies, to ensure that every stakeholder in the case of this polity is being carried along.
Okay, now that you've, we go back again to the issue of campaigns. Of course, campaigns, have kicked off across the country, and as political parties go about, talking to the people, what should they be doing at this moment? What should they be saying to the people at the moment?
Basically, enlightenment is one of the things that, just like I tell you now, one of the rules of INEC are supposed to go into what they call political orientation. How many of you and I in our communities or in our place of work that actually remember you need to go to your village or your ward or your unit to actually tell people the value of voting, the value of registering, the value of engaging in political activities? So this is the time that politicians need to go to their respective areas and tell their electorate what they plan to do to them, not just empty promises they make in the past, what they can do to them. And this is the time that you have a competing ideologies in different constituencies as this information is disseminated. And people, of course, individual reputation matter, of course, in the course of campaigning and telling people what you do for people, people will be able to assess you and see what have you done to them in the past. What's the person you are? What are your antecedents? How did you even make your money that you're coming to distribute around? And who were you before? And what have you delivered in the past? So this assessment might be done at the areas that people are enlightened. But people at the unit level and people that are engaging door to door should be able to tell their party men or their voters, this is what we can do to change what we have done before, or what we will not be able to do before. This is what we can do. So those are the orientation, is basically to be able to educate our people so that they know they are right. Basically, that has been, has not been an issue with most of our politicians. They don't like talking about the real issues when they go visiting their electorate. They just want to share money and gather crowds so that people will say they have so many million crowds on the street. And that's basically one of the challenges we're having right now.
It's all right. Thank you so much. Now, it takes me again to these questions. During an election, a lot of stakeholders, are involved. The traditional institutions, the religious leaders, and opinion makers, so to say. Now, what role are you expecting these stakeholders to play in ensuring or guaranteeing a peaceful electioneering in Nigeria?
Sadly, our traditional institutions are actually controlled by the states. The act has been changed, or rather local government. So they actually have less influence on doing any other thing that the state government or the local government opt for. But on the other side, for the issue of orientation, how they can carry people along is simple. The traditional institutions are actually people that are close to the heart of the people and the religious leaders. They just keep on preaching peace, because our churches and our mosques have actually been running away from doing that. People are now campaigning for the respective candidate and mentioning ideologies that are negative in bringing our country down. So we need that unity to be propagated by our traditional institutions. They'll call our people stay together, because I'll give you a typical example. I'm from Northwest. Where I come from, majority of our people, almost 60% of our generations in the past, were Christians, Catholics. We don't even know the difference between a Muslim and a Christian in our community. And so it's almost the same thing in every part of the world. But now people go to churches and give money and just pray, they go to mosques. This is actually what is actually killing our people. Right. Some of these campaigns needed to be stopped. So traditional institutions need to come out and call these aspirants, gather all of them from whichever party you are coming from, talk to your people, tell them what you have done before, what you can do or what you can't do, so that people will vote you based on your reputation or what you can deliver. Traditional institutions need to be very independent, because they are supposed to be people with reputation, people with history, people with ethics, so that they can be able to advise the community. We can continue to have remember in the past, in the 60s and 70s, how our traditional institutions were playing. The entire government is kind of managed by most of these people, because they play a very strong advisory role. And we've had a country we've always had for a very long time. All the peace we've enjoyed is because we never divide. Our people have always been the same, whether from one religion or the other. One traditional institution will be able to regulate how you do things within your community, how you get married, how you live your social life, how you interact. And that has been very helpful to us. Religion always come before them, because they are always leaders in their respective religion. So they try to be fair and balanced in how they run their societies.
It's all right.
So some of these things can be handled if they decide to. All
right. Thank you so much, Prince Suleiko Sami, FPC chieftain and governance expert. Thank you very much for coming on Africa Weekly and sharing your thoughts there with us.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Dare, dream, defy, they ought, step it up and drive was the thrust of the 9th Conference of African Women held in Abuja, Nigeria. Female diplomats in Nigeria led conversations where Nigeria is said to have made progress in the 2022 Global Gender Index.
Discussions centered around women going beyond inequality to realizing that women are the change the world requires. The need for women to work together, stand up for each other, and push forward their representation also topped discussions at the conference. Ambassador of Finland to Nigeria stressed the need for older women to mentor the younger ones.
Do you stand up for other women, or do you just stand up for yourself? Because we have to stand up for each other.
But with all of these things, we can. We are allowed to stop and say, today I can't, but tomorrow I can.
Organized by She Forum Africa and Women Lead Forum Nigeria, in collaboration with Southern Africa Embrace Foundation, the conference is to encourage women and girls to participate in politics and in policy process across the continent. Therefore, stepping up, breaking all odds.
How not keep us down? But we are focusing also now on ourselves, because we seem to have been speaking with ourselves for too long, but we're breaking down the conversation in a manner where we are personalizing and internalizing the growth that needs to happen for women's economic advancement, women's political advancement.
Out of 15,227 candidates across the country for the 2023 elections, female candidates are only 1,404 in number, and this equaling just 9.16% of candidates. What is it that we didn't get right?
It also created an avenue for women to talk to themselves, share experiences, and work together for the good of the female gender.
And that's our package this week on Africa Weekly. Thanks for being part of it. I am Charles Alpha. Many thanks for watching.